right, Nate, I see you drinking a beer right there, so I have to ask before we get started. What's the drink of
Yes.
choice during your fantasy drafts, and how many of them are you having?
Drink of choice during my fantasy drafts for sure is Knob Creek. It's 100 proof Knob Creek. I'm definitely a bourbon guy, so I go after the bourbon. But I drink bourbon very nice and slow, and like my water of choice is any craft brew that's in front of me.
Ah, very
So it's like
nice.
I go double take on I drink the hard stuff and the beer at the same time. It's good. It's good. I like it.
Very nice. I like that analysis. And with that, let's get loaded. And with that,
Sounds
we
good.
don't have music, so we pissed off DJ. And with that, this is the Loaded Box podcast without an intro song for the second straight week. I apologize to everyone who likes to get down for like 15, 20 seconds.
I can beatbox for you if you want. I mean,
Prove it.
With all this freestyle.
Loaded box.
Oh my God, let's
There
do
you
that.
go. I like it.
We're doing that every single time from now on. Nate, you're a regular. All right, so I am Ben Morgan. This person right here is DJ Primo. Premio? I said my own co-host name wrong. DJ Primo. And we're joined by Nate Hamilton, who is the founder of DominateFantasy.com. He's a writer for the Fantasy Footballers. He's the co-host of the Fantasy Tilt podcast. He's the co-author of the 2018 Fantasy Football Black Book. Nate, I got to ask, do you have like a different amount of hours in a day than everyone else to accomplish all of this? Or what happened there?
I'm freaking spent, man. I tell you, man. It is like I've had a constant migraine for the last 5 years. Like I've got basically 3 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people in the industry that feel that way where, I've got my day job, but then I'm doing full-time fantasy. Like
right.
Everyone thinks I'm in this thing full-time. Not there yet.
No.
I obviously want to be. That is my goal. But I'm doing full-time fantasy, and obviously I've got a wife. I've got a 3-year-old son at home, so like that's another full-time thing. So I'm just like, I'm tapped, man.
Yeah, that sounds just like DJ. He's got the same situation going on right there.
I have a 3-year-old son too.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic, man. What's his name?
His name's Braylon.
Braylon. All right,
Yeah.
my son's name is Leo.
DJ
Mine
was
sounds
named
much
after
better.
Braylon Edwards. Believe that or not.
It actually kind of was just the name, not because I like the player.
Nice.
Nice. Well, we are going to do some fantasy football tight end rankings today. It's actually DJ's least favorite episode of the year, so he's kind of here for moral support, and then he has a couple surprises he's going to throw in throughout the way here. So what we'll do is we'll go through the rankings, and then we'll dive into them, whether or not we like them at their current ADP, our draft strategy with them, just whatever we want to talk about, plus DJ's fun adventure that he's got going on. So real quick as well, we're on YouTube. I got to get my DJing skills here because I'm going through one or the other based on who's talking. So if you didn't check that out last week, we're trying to put all these on YouTube now as well. So we'll have that. So without further ado, let's talk about some tight ends. So I'll go through my top 12 real quick. At 12, I've got Jack Doyle. At 11, I've got David Njoku. At 10, I got Kyle Rudolph. 9, Tyler Eifert. 8, Jordan Reed. 7, Delaney Walker. 6, Evan Ingram. 5, Greg Olson. 4, Jimmy Graham. 3, Zach Ertz. 2, Travis Kelce. And 1, Rob Gronkowski. And DJ does not have tight end rankings because he is a zero tight end strategist. Well, if that's the word you want to use.
Strategist? Yeah, I fucking hate tight ends. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
No tight ends for DJ. So, Nate, we'll go through your top 12 real quick, and then we will dissect them.
Well, I'm kind of with DJ, man. I honestly don't like tight ends myself, and ironically, you mentioned it in the open. I'm a co-host or a co-author in Amazon's #1 best-selling The Fantasy Football Black Book.
Nice.
Jake Pisapia, Joe Pisapia, Jake Seeley, and Matt Franchise. So what's funny, though, is I actually ended up writing about tight ends and kickers in this book. But, hey, everyone has their thing, whatever. I wanted contribute, so I jumped in and did this. But,
nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way as far as tight ends go. But anyways, here's my my top 12. So this one already is going to irritate a lot of people. So number 12 is Jared Cook.
Ooh.
Number 11, David Njoku. 10, Evan Ingram. 9, Jack Doyle. 8, Trey Burton. 7, Kyle Rudolph. 6, Greg Olson. 5, Delaney Walker. 4, Jimmy Graham. 3. Yeah, there's 2 4. 2, Gronk, and number 1 is Zach Ertz. I should have said my wife, actually, number 1 tight end.
Oh,
Zach Ertz.
In case she listens, you got to get on the good side. Well, DJ may have something for that in a little bit here. So, well, let's. I'll just start with mine. We'll go back through the ones on yours that we didn't get to when we get to that point. So, at 12, I had Jack Doyle. He's going as the second pick in the 12th round. That's tight end 13. I think he's a definite target of mine right now that Andrew Luck is back. As a believer on waiting on tight ends, I think Jack Doyle is a perfect guy for you to scoop up. Basically, once everybody already has a tight end, and he should be fairly consistent in that offense where really outside of Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton, you just have a ton of question marks right now. So Doyle with any quarterback besides Andrew Luck is, in my opinion, not draftable. But with Andrew Luck, I'm totally fine with taking him.
I mean, I'll agree with that to a certain extent. However, Jack Doyle was still the 8th best tight end last year with freaking Jacoby Brissett throwing.
That is very true.
So if he can do that with Brissett, with even not even 100%, but Andrew Luck that is throwing footballs on the field
right.
is still better than Brissett. So for me, there's absolutely no reason he should finish lower than a tight end 1.
Does the presence of Eric Ebron concern anybody there in that Colts? Colts tight end position?
No, I think Eric Ebron was one of those things that just he showed flashes, but he never really happened. And if he couldn't happen with Matthew Stafford in that offense, then I have very little faith that he can do it with another competing, competent tight end in Jack Doyle. So I'm not scared at all of Ebron.
Yep, I echo exactly what he said. Ebron has kind of teased now and then again, but nope, nothing there for me to get anything excited about. So I would definitely target Doyle. I'm a late tight end drafter, so he's really on my radar. DJ, what are your thoughts here?
So I'm going to give my number 12 tight end here. My 12th best tight end is Abigail Ratchford. Now, if you haven't heard of Abigail Ratchford, she's kind of an Instagram star, just incredible tight end. I mean, I probably underrated a little bit because she's an unknown commodity.
Holy crap, dude!
No, she's number 12. But,
number 12.
Yeah, she's good. If you don't follow her on the old Instagram and that stuff, you need to start following her. Just saying.
Yeah. So on all of these, I have my other computer over here so I can check some things out. And so far, dude, if she's number 12, I can't wait for number 9.
Well, you want to know something? I don't see her in my ADP listing. So maybe it's broken. What's going on there?
Sleeper pick, man. Sleeper pick.
Real good tight end.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Well, my number 11 guy was David Njoku. He's going as the 8th pick in the 9th round. That's tight end 11. I really like Njoku. When he was tight end 14, he was going in around 12 and 13. But I'm still fine with him probably in the 9th round. It sort of sucks that he had that monster game in the preseason for those who already liked him. I know DJ, even as a non-tight end drafter, sort of was like, well, maybe I could get him real late, But on the other hand, at least they're planning on using him. He had that bust out, he's going to be part of the plan. And whether it's Tyrod all year or a combination of both him and it is, DJ says, or Baker Mayfield, I think both of them have shown that they have chemistry with Njoku. And I mean, I had a keeper league draft earlier this week. I kept Njoku as a keeper, and I only added Cameron Brate to that roster. So that should kind of show you how really fine I am with Njoku this year. What are your thoughts, Nate?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. He's my number 11 as well. He's definitely going to be a top 12. There's no question about it because, to me, I hate Tyrod Taylor. So, the only good thing about him, though, is he doesn't throw to wide receivers, so that benefits Njoku easily.
Big time.
And Njoku last year only started 5 games, and he had 4 touchdowns. So that's pretty encouraging to see, and I'm really excited to see what he could do in this offense. And I know it's the Browns, but I do expect them to score just a little bit more than they did last year. But it's funny that you say, it's too bad that he's doing well in the preseason because last night we just recorded the Fancy Tilt podcast, with my buddy Keaton. We had a guest on, our editor at the Fancy Footballers, Kyle, and one of his tilts was he hates drafting so late in the preseason because he felt like he had this, edge on everybody else. But by the time he goes to draft them, their ADP has skyrocketed.
Right.
And I feel that every year. I hate that. So that's a good point.
See,
guys, I've done that with Mike Williams. I was on him 2 months ago, and now he's just rocketing up the board. Same with Njoku. It's just pissing me off.
Oh yeah,
DJ. Before you get on to your number 11, do you want to say anything in defense of the person who you are the president of the fan club for?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't appreciate you smearing Tyrod's good name. So I am the president of the Tyrod fan club. And I know they're trying to call him Tyrod now. That's just not going to work. It's Tyrod Taylor, Ty God, T-Mobile, all that good stuff.
Tyrod.
He's no, he's going to go out there. He's going to light it up, and Njoku's going to have a good season. He'll probably get the Browns to 8-8 after taking the shitty ass Buffalo Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years.
He'll make it to week 6 when they're 0-5 to start the season.
No chance. No chance.
All right, DJ. More importantly, number 11.
My number 11 tight end, and I don't know if you've heard of this one before, but Emily Ratajkowski, or however you say her last name. I think she's a Sports Illustrated, but she's a lot on Instagram. I see her a lot.
That last name came up instantly.
Yeah, incredible. She's all around just an incredible, amazing, good-looking girl, but her butt is also on just perfect, natural symmetry. It's just, great tight end. Great tight end.
I initially was like, I don't really see it too much, and then I saw a picture, and I'm back with you, and I totally support that number 11. I would actually have your 12 at 11 as of now, but still so far, so good in my mind.
We gotta move on.
Good analysis. All right, before we go on to number 10, I just want to let you guys know.
This is some good stuff by DJ. I just want to say this.
Thank you.
I should point out that both DJ and I are still kind of fairly hungover. We have a bunch of fantasy drafts this weekend, and I think we took our practicing of drinking for them a little too serious last night. So, Nate, I told you on Twitter you had to carry the show, and so far so good. It's been a good outing by you and DJ so far.
Whatever you need me to do, buddy. And, if he can just keep listing girls, that's fantastic.
I'll keep going.
That's cool. Okay.
Love it. Well, before we go on to number 10, if you want an unfair advantage to dominate your fantasy football league, well, look no further and download SquadQL, the only mobile app you need to crush your friends and rivals this year. SquadQL recommends the best starting lineup for each week based on your starters, bench players, and a free agent pool. You may ask, how does SquadQL actually do this? Well, the app actually connects directly with your Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS leagues, pulling in your actual roster and your league scoring system. SquadQL then provides waiver and trade recommendations, plus the app gives you player rankings each week. It's all based on your league settings. They are truly your go-to app this fantasy season. Head to squadql.com to download SquadQL, your all-in-one fantasy football manager. So thanks, SquadQL. Make sure you go check that out. And with that, let's go on to number 9. Number 10.
I just want to say something awesome about SquadQL because they're a sponsor of our podcast as well.
Nice.
I really love their lineup optimizer. I just tried it out today, and not only does it tell you what your best lineup is could be this week or the week 1 since we haven't started the season yet, but it actually pulls whoever free agents are available on the waiver wire and say, hey, the tight end you have right now on your squad is not going to do as well as this guy in the waiver wire. Why don't you go pick him up? So I think that's the coolest feature they have. So it's definitely worth it to check it out.
Yeah.
I could utilize that too. I stream tight ends every single week.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm right there.
Oh, nice. All right, so I'm going to go to number 10. That's Kyle Rudolph. He's going as the 6th pick in the 7th round. That's tight end 8. I honestly think that the 7th round is too high for Rudolph. I think that he's fine. I think he'll have some good weeks. But, excuse you, DJ.
Sorry.
You've got Dalvin Cook. You've got Latavius Murray. You've got Thielen. You've got Diggs. You've got all these guys to compete with. And if you look at his numbers from last year, he was pretty touchdown dependent. He had 8 touchdowns, and he only had about 500 yards. So I think you can get close to his kind of production at tight end a little bit later in the draft. Whereas in that 7th round, you can get a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, Sammy Watkins, Sony Michel, Carson Wentz, or you can even wait another round later and get a guy like Delaney Walker. So I think this is probably that first guy I'm going to pass on at tight end.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Kyle Rudolph, I agree with you. I'm not as low as you are on him. He's at number 7 for me, but I agree with you there where there's too many mouths to feed there. So I definitely think his potential's capped because of that.
Right.
When it comes to touchdown reliant tight end, I believe about 80% of tight ends, maybe more,
That is
are
true.
touchdown reliant. I think that's what
Yes.
that position is, right? So for me, and we'll get to another player that I have, as a top 4 option, who is exactly that. He used to have the volume, but now he's a touchdown reliant guy, but he's a top 4 to me. We'll get to that, like I said, but so that doesn't really scare me off. In fact, that kind of entices me to maybe grab somebody like that in an offense that's going to score a ton, which you better believe the Vikings this year is going to be, probably a top 5 offense, in the league. So for me, Kyle Rudolph at 7 makes sense just because I just think because of the touchdown upside and touchdown, besides volume, touchdown is king for tight ends. And that's why I like Kyle just a little bit more than you do.
Yeah, I actually am kind of a fan of. I hate the Vikings, but I am kind of a fan of Kyle Rudolph also this year. I think him and Kirk Cousins will actually have a pretty good connection, and he'll be again, like you said, he'll be probably pretty lethal in that red zone, which I imagine the Vikings plan on being. I mean, with their defense probably setting them up in good position as well. You can see a lot of opportunities, and I think Kyle Rudolph will probably be the biggest benefactor down there in that area. And as he said, tight ends are touchdowns at this point. So That's really what I'm looking for from week to week when I'm streaming as well. If I get a 1 touchdown from Guy, I'm happy with 7 points. So I'm not a big tight end fan, and he's the guy that can score those touchdowns.
Nice.
Now, I know you guys can't see this, but DJ's pretty badass because as he's talking and giving his points, he's glancing up at the TV. He's watching football right now. So the dude's like half in, but he's not skipping a beat in his sentences. So that's pretty impressive. So
not only
you, my friend.
Not only am I doing that, is I've got a game on my phone. I don't know if you know, but Ben and I are big gamblers.
Nice.
So nice. I bet on UCF, or I bet on UConn tonight, who was plus 24, so they're 24-point underdogs, and they keep fucking scoring, and I'm just making sure UConn. So I'm over here like freaking out mentally.
Yeah, no. I see that. I see your eyes going down at your phone. I see your eyes going up at the TV. I mean, you're doing all that, yet you're not skipping a beat when you're speaking. So that's impressive.
That's how passionate DJ is about being anti-tight end. Like if he has something, he knows exactly what he wants to say because he just knows how much he hates tight ends in general.
That's awesome.
All right,
my number 10 tight end.
Here we go.
I'm just moving this one up above those first 2 girls just because her hips don't lie.
Uh-oh.
And I'm talking about Shakira.
Uh-oh.
All right?
Shakira.
The way she shakes her butt when she dances, it gets me going a little bit. She does it better than anybody. She even says her hips don't lie. So she has to be a little bit higher. Even though those girls may have actually nicer butts, they probably don't move it as well as Shakira.
I like the reasoning. I like the reasoning.
Definitely deserved.
Yeah, I like the reasoning on that one. I mean, like you said, it's not like it may not be a brand new ass. Like she's a little bit aged, but the fact that she was that thing and she made the fact that her hips don't lie. You had to include her. I maybe would have put her at 12. Little disagreement, but oh well.
I gave my reasons.
All right. My number 9 tight end is nowhere near as good looking as DJ's, I'm guessing, but it's Tyler Eifert, who right now is going as the 3rd pick in the 13th round. That's tight end 14. Definitely higher on Eifert right now in his ADP based on what he could be. But it sounds like they're actually even going to try to decrease his workload a little bit this year to try to keep him healthy. And depending on how you look at that for Eifert, that could be good or bad because if he's off the field, he's obviously not scoring. But if he's off the field, he's also not getting hurt. So that could be okay. I did have Tyler Eifert back in the day in that good year where he was just crushing it. He never got hurt. I've never had him when he's gotten hurt. So I haven't been burned like other people have. So that's probably why he's still in my top 10 compared to other people not having him there. But I think he's really worth taking a risk on, especially if in like the 13th round as the 14th tight end off the board. You can get him as a backup tight end as that, and that's probably criminal for DJ to hear 2 tight ends on one roster.
Yeah, that's gross.
But I mean,
when it comes to Tyler Eifert, man, honest to God, I'm not even thinking about him. And I think for DJ's case, it's actually a perfect. He's somebody you can pick up after the draft. He is not being drafted. Okay.
Right.
So for I get the ADP argument, so that's great. I get the value thing. But you always got to put that caveat if he's healthy. And for me, I'm just so sick of those guys. I'm
Yeah.
just like they irritate me every freaking year. Just because they had one good freaking season, all of a sudden they're like, oh, they had that good year way back when. Do you remember that time? That was awesome, wasn't it? And it's like for some reason that lives for like 5 years, and it makes no sense whatsoever to me. So for me, I mean, I don't even have Eifert in my top 12, and it's for those reasons. Like, it's just, he's not reliable. Yes, if he's healthy, he's a top 12 tight end, no question. However, that's a huge if. So
Right.
that's why I'm staying away from Eifert.
Yeah, I am 100% agreement with him. Or were you going to finish, Ben?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm 100% agreeing with Nate here. I can't even fathom drafting Tyler Eifert, or imagine anybody else doing it. He's just, this guy can't stand the field, and I mean, at this point, he's like Sam Bradford to me. He's like a guaranteed to get injured and not play half to most of the year. So, oh Jesus, yeah, sorry, I got thrown off.
Oh, that was your
there
one.
He goes, watching football.
That was your first kick up.
Just had a terrible throw. So.
All right, so my theory on Eifert as well that I didn't include right away was, look at the Bengals offense. I mean, everyone's super high on Joe Mixon. DJ's really not all that high on him either. I think you're relying on him too much as a pass catcher. And then you have AJ Green, who's the ultimate reliable guy in fantasy football. So yeah, you want him. Who else are they giving the ball to on that team? If Tyler Eifert's healthy, he's a double-digit touchdown kind of guy. That's where I think I can do him. Like, I understand, yeah, you don't want to draft a guy because he's a risk. But if it's super late, I think I'd almost rather take a flyer on him in that 14th round than have to wait and see like if a DJ strategy there. Like, that's why I think he's worth a roster spot.
I get it. But if they're preserving him, Tyler Kroft, man, when he stepped in last year, he was nice. He was good.
He was.
I mean, so when you have a player like that and you want to preserve somebody else, that means they're not going to rush them on the field. If they tweak something just a little bit that they would normally play through, maybe they'll take him out for the game because they know Tyler Kroft can handle it.
Right.
So there's so many red flags for me when it comes to Eifert. I get his upside. Trust me, I really do. Like he's like I said, probably a top 10 for me if he can play a full season. It's just with these guys, I'm done. I'm done with them.
Yeah.
And I'm fine writing them off. It's okay with me. So I'd rather just fish on the waiver wire at that point.
Yeah, I've got guys like that as well, so I hear what you're saying as well. So, DJ, what do you got?
Oh, at number 9, it's I probably should have had this girl lower, but I'm just like really in Friday Night Lights right now, so I put her in there. Minka Kelly. She's actually very similar to like Emily Ratajkowski in the ass of the figure. So I bumped her up a little bit. I think it's a little recency bias with my Friday Night Lights watching. I don't have too much analysis on her. I don't know if you know who Minka Kelly is, Ben.
So
I don't know if you.
I'm checking her out right now, and what sucks is like if you just Google her name, like she must be really famous for her face because I'm not getting a lot of ass. And the problem is,
if you watch Friday Night Lights, she's got a couple of times where she's in her underwear.
So like I definitely can't watch that right now to give analysis. So I'm trying to do this. And I don't want to.
She's a good tight end, she's very similar to like the body type of Emily Ratajkowski they mentioned earlier.
Gotcha. But what's killing me here is I want to type in Minka Kelly ass, but this other computer I'm using is not my personal computer, so I don't think that's a good idea.
Guys, I'm so glad that I named my number 1 tight end as my wife.
Yeah.
Because this was before the whole DJ
I know, that was pretty incredible.
So it was.
Actually tied in very nicely.
It was good foresight.
It did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I promise Nate didn't know DJ was going to pull that off.
I know, it was great.
No way.
You know what, I told my wife I was doing this, and she's like, you don't even have me ranked on there? I'm like, you're actually ahead of number 1, so...
No, nice.
Wow.
You're not even on the rankings. That's below you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good.
That's below you. All right, let's go on to number 8. You want to talk about injured tight ends? Let's talk about my number 8 guy.
God, no, let's not.
Yeah, that's Jordan Reed, baby. He's the 12th pick right now in the 8th round, tight end 10. I would like to say that I would target him at the end of the 8th or early in 9th, but this time I cannot do it. When he's healthy, he's a monster. We all know that. He's literally just never healthy. He's almost worse in that sense than Tyler Eifert. He's just had injuries, and his injuries, they're the ones that keep him out for a long time, too. They're not just a week here or there. I literally cannot say much about him bad about his play on the field. All of the negatives are off the field, totally not football related. The good that comes with Jordan Reed is the fact that he's now playing with Alex Smith, who we all know loves to target the tight end and have a safe check down route. So if Reed were to stay healthy, he'd be a bargain at this ADP. He could legit finish as a top 5 tight end. But how Nate literally just described Tyler Eifert, that's how I feel right now about Jordan Reed. So I just can't do it right now.
I knew he was higher up your ranks, so I didn't want to jump into Jordan Reed just yet. So what I'll do now, since I've got the floor, I will go ahead and read verbatim what I wrote about in the Fantasy Football Black Book about Jordan Reed. Okay?
Got it.
Inside look.
And he's under the red flag section, by the way.
It's like in this whole chapter, it's him and Eifert.
You'll like how I started, though, Ben. You'll like how I started. I say he's a top 5 talent when healthy.
Nailed it.
That pretty much ends like the goodness with him, okay? Which continues to be a trap for Reed's fantasy owners.
Yep.
He was the number 2 fantasy tight end in 2015, the one year he played more than 12 games, and it still wasn't a complete season. For him, it was 14 games that season. For some reason, people like to hold on to that and think Reed is bound to have another season like that. Reed has played in 65% of 80 potential regular season games, starting just 27 of those games. I don't recommend trusting a guy that has averaged 5.4 starts a season since coming into the league in 2013. I'm sorry, I got to drop the mic there.
No, that is perfect because literally the year when you said he played 14 games in a season, he must have wanted a raise. That sounds like overtime for a guy that's only playing in half of his games.
Yeah, he was motivated for some reason.
Holy shit.
Was that his year that he had to get a contract or something like that? He's like, fuck, I better go play for a little bit longer.
I gotta do something. But Jordan Reed irritates the heck out of me because he's one of those guys, man, where, man, I don't know. I think he maybe thinks he's okay with money. Maybe he's being smart with it, and maybe he cares a little bit more about that than the game. And I hate to judge, guys like that, but for me, it's just the reason he stays out of games and where he's questionable or he leaves a game early. And then we hear about what the reason was. Oh, he kind of strained his foot. Like, to me, it's just like, man, there's so many more tight ends in this league that would just suck that shit up, man. And just, for me, Jordan Reed is just, I think he's soft, man. I'm going to say it. I just think he's soft. And it's very, very frustrating because, like I said, he is a top 5 tight end for sure.
Right,
when he's
talent-wise.
Playing at the top of his game, when he's healthy.
Yeah.
He's got a great opportunity this year with Alex Smith because Alex Smith obviously heavily targeted Travis Kelce.
Right.
And he's probably going to look for somebody similar. But that's why I actually like a guy like Vernon Davis, who I know he's 34 years old, but I think he can actually be on the field a lot more than Jordan Reed this year, and he's not being drafted whatsoever. So if you're looking for somebody to really, get after your draft, DJ, I'm talking to you. You're going to want to get Vernon Davis because I think he'll end up with the majority of targets in the tight end position there.
Oh, he found his way onto my roster for 1 or 2 weeks last year, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on him. I was really hoping that Njoku was going to go undrafted this year in my drafts, but now at this point, he's probably going to get drafted now.
Yeah,
probably. Toward the end,
that's very disappointing. I just agree with everything you said on Jordan Reed, so I'm not going to say too much.
Nice.
Anything else from you, Ben? Because otherwise I'll move on to my number 8.
Let's go. Number 8, baby. Let's hear it.
Number 8 tight end. Now, you got to hear me out because this girl wasn't on my radar, wouldn't have been on my radar 2 weeks ago. But Iggy Azalea, she recently was on Twitter, and she just I don't know what video it was I was watching of her, but she had her ass out, and you're going to notice a trend here. I really love big butts, but I was mesmerized by her ass. It was just it came out of nowhere. Is she white? Is Iggy Azalea white?
I'm looking at her right now. I don't think she's 100% white. I don't really know though.
I'm gonna assume she's white. So if she's white with that butt, that vaults her up automatically. But that ass in that video, I was like, oh my god, she just hit my ass radar. So this was perfect timing for her. She easily moved up to number 8 once I saw that. I don't even know. I didn't know that thing existed on her. That's a great caboose, great tight end there.
So DJ, as much as you like to lead everyone to think that you were not into this episode and you actually hated it, this is probably going to be your most,
your favorite.
You love this episode the most.
I'm a big fan now that I'm getting into it. My next one's going to be really on curveball.
I love the analysis. Like, you even bringing in that radio voice. Like,
Oh, yeah.
This girl I wasn't into for the last couple of weeks. But I'll tell you right now, I just saw this video, and she is hot.
Yeah,
she is a sleeper
he's
pick.
got that.
She's my sleeper.
DJ, I've noticed so far that if Google didn't have like an autocorrect thing, I wouldn't know how to spell any of their names. That's the
I
first
know, it's nice.
observation.
Yeah.
2, yeah, she looks good in some of these, but there's a couple of rumors out there about Iggy that she had like some sort of ass implant. Because there's some pictures here where it's a little on the sketch side. So far, this is probably the one
She might have got me.
I might disagree
She
with
works
this.
out. She works out, though. She works out a lot.
Yeah, she'll get it back.
I don't want to believe that.
No. All right, let's go on to number 7. I got Delaney Walker. He's going as the first pick in the 8th round, tight end 9. I think Walker's due for a nice bounce back year, and I think the Titans' offense is due for a nice bounce back year. Walker last year, he still had over 800 yards, but his touchdowns went from 7 the year before to 3 last year. So that's kind of where you saw a little bit of disappointment in him as a fantasy owner. But with that, 4 straight years over 800 yards, and he's never been a huge touchdown producer. The most he ever had was that year when he had 7. But he's a guy that's going to produce consistently as long as that offense gets back on track. And I don't really think last year, whenever I'd watch the Titans, they never got their ground game going. Mariota threw only 13 touchdowns. Now you bring in a guy like Deion Lewis to pair with Derrick Henry. I like that mix. I think they get the ground game going. I think Mariota becomes a little bit more efficient with his legs. And I think that helps guys like Corey Davis and Delaney Walker the most. So I would be very cool with Delaney Walker in the 8th round right now.
All right, so for me, Delaney Walker, he's a top 5 for me. He's my number 5, and you actually already called out a couple things that he's had over 800 receiving yards the last 4 seasons. There's only 2 tight ends that have done that in the league, and that is Delaney Walker and Travis Kelce.
Wow!
So if that tells you anything, Delaney Walker, like you said, 7 touchdowns. He's not really a touchdown monster, but he is one of the rare tight ends that. Volume is king for him, and he doesn't necessarily need the touchdowns. However, 3 is a bit low, especially in a year. I think Marcus Mariota and the entire offense, I think, was just off, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they improve a little bit, or maybe a lot, which is what I'm hoping for. But even if it's just a little bit, I expect those touchdown numbers to go up for Delaney Walker. Especially with the new talent they have to distract defenses away from him, hopefully. So I think that'll open up for him, which makes him a top 5 option for me.
Yep, love the bounce back here. DJ?
Delaney Walker is a guy that I would compare to like a Larry. He's like the Larry Fitzgerald of tight ends. He's an older guy, very consistent, kind of boring, a guy that I'm not going to pay attention to. But lots of people have that probably same feelings, and you're going to get great value out of him and a consistent tight end, which is very rare to find. At this point, so
I like how you said you're going to get very good value because you're personally not going to get good value.
That's 8th round is still too early for me, but somebody's going to get good value out of Delaney Walker. Be able to keep him on their team the entire year. He is the tight end version of Larry Fitzgerald in my eyes.
Nice, I like that comp.
He's somebody if you draft and you get him on your team, right? You don't have to worry about the waiver wire. You don't have to worry about streaming. And for me, I'm in 13 leagues. So I'm actually kind of looking for some of these guys in some of these leagues because I don't know if I have the freaking capacity to be waiver wiring in all 13 leagues. So it's driving me a little bit nuts. And I will say this about Delaney Walker, though. Since 2014, he's been the number 8, number 4, number 5, and number 6 tight end amongst all tight ends.
That's insane.
So Mr. Consistent for sure.
Yeah, and that's without those touchdowns, as you mentioned earlier. Like usually you can be like touchdown dependent with a tight end, but he's getting it done without them. So imagine if he does have 8 touchdowns. Like he's like a guaranteed like top 4 or 5 tight end.
It's because he has 100 plus targets in those years, in all 4 of those years. So that's again volume for him. That's key.
Yep, absolutely. DJ.
Okay, are you ready for my curveball? This was kind of a trick as well, because Ben, you might not know who this is until you type it in. My number 7 is Taylor Kitsch. Do you know who Taylor Kitsch is, Nate?
First name you've said that I do not know.
Huh.
Yeah. Taylor Kitsch happens to be a guy. Do you know? Have you ever seen Friday Night Lights, Nate?
Friday Night Lights.
Back to Friday Night Lights. That is Tim Riggins. He is my biggest, I think, man crush there is in the world. So he had to make the list. I wanted to throw you guys off for a loop. You know what? I'm sex positive here. I'll go guys. I'll go girls. Taylor
I was going to
Kitsch.
joke and say Ricky Martin, but then
Oh, that'd have been a good one.
And he's got a girl's name, so I knew it would throw, or it was like a gender, non-specific gender name, so you never know where you get out of it. It's a guy.
Absolutely. And that is Kitsc,
Yeah.
Ben, in case you're wondering. So go
I
right ahead.
got it.
Yeah, Taylor Kitsch. And he has long hair, so it's even more confusing. I just kind of, I threw a curveball in. You're going to have to hit it.
Yep.
So thanks a lot, DJ. My wife's gonna look at my cookies and she's gonna see Taylor Kitsch butt, and so that's not gonna be a good look for me.
Oh well.
Well, since we have it, Nate, what would you rather have exposed? Your lifetime's Google history searches or a naked picture of yourself?
Ooh, naked picture, man. I'm proud. I work out. I'm a dad, but I freaking work out. I'm good.
Nice.
So let the nude go, man. I'm good with that. It's fine.
I like it. We're both the same way. We've asked guests that when it's come up randomly, and I thought that was a fair time for it.
Absolutely.
All right, number 6.
Wait, before we get to number 6, I've got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Oh, what is that?
Breaking news. I'm a guest on your pod, and we don't follow each other, so I just followed both of you. So get on your phones. Let's do this thing right now. Okay, let's go to number 6. Sorry.
I already followed you, I think, actually. So thanks.
Oh, he just called you out. Nate, I already told you the only reason you're here is because DJ was too lazy to do tight end rankings.
You're right. I don't follow you. I do now.
Yeah, there you go. See, you're gonna want me on a lot more. I promise you that.
I like it. I'll get to that follow here after we get this pod done. I promise, man.
All right, let's go, Ben. Let's go.
All right, number 6. Last year's stud rookie Evan Ingram. He's going as the 11th pick in the 6th round. That's the 6th ranked tight end. That's too early for me, despite that really good rookie year. I'm saying what everyone's been saying right now. Ingram's targets are going to drop with Odell Beckham back, with Sterling Shepard healthy, with finally having a running back that you can utilize both on the ground and through the air in Saquon. With Ingram, there's no doubt you're going to get some boom weeks. Like, he's going to put up some really nice scores that are going to put you over the edge some weeks. There's zero chance, though, in my opinion, that the consistency is there for him, that you're going to want to rely on him as the 6th tight end drafted overall. So that's way too rich for me. I have to pass on Ingram this year.
Why is college halftime so long?
That's a great question, actually. Why is it so damn long?
Get your next call ready there, because I'm going to talk a little Evan Ingram, and I'll pass it off to you.
Sounds good.
All right, so Evan Ingram, for the reasons you just explained, Ben, is why he's my number 10 this year.
Yeah.
The volume was there, obviously, due to all the injuries, OBJ, Sterling Shepard. It was a perfect storm for him last season because he finished as a top 5 tight end as a rookie, which is freaking rare. Okay, that does not happen. Targets will obviously be divided amongst the 2 I just said, Sterling Shepard, OBJ, and Saquon Barkley, man. He's going to get a huge workload this season. So that's going to affect, I think, everyone else in the offense.
Right.
I think Saquon Barkley is going to hog a little bit of everything, which is going to bring down, I think, everybody's numbers. Obviously, OBJ's OBJ, and I don't blame you for taking him as a top 3, wide receiver. However, I'm still a little bit down on him compared to most seasons, just because I think Saquon's just going to hog everything. So, that's why I've got Evan Ingram as my number 10. He's definitely going to regress a little bit just because of the volume he got last year. He's not seeing that again.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he was essentially the number 1 wide receiver last year when Odell and Marshall. I mean, I guess it was Sterling Shepard and him, and they have no running game. Now they have Saquon Barkley. They've got way too many mouths to feed with Odell. I actually do like Sterling Shepard, so somebody's got to regress, and he's just not going to get as many targets as he did last year with all those guys kind of coming back in the draft of Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, I think that production will drop and people will overdraft him a little bit, which is, again, fine with me. It's just another pick that I'm going to have at a running back. So that's just an offense with too many mouths to feed there.
Agreed.
I agree.
Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah. All right, before we get to my number, what am I on, 6?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Pristine Auction here. In case you haven't signed up yet, make sure you get qualified to win our Odell Beckham Jr. autograph mini helmet, as Ben's showing on the screen right now. Beautiful, beautiful signature by Odell. We just talked about him, so what perfect timing.
It's like it was planned or something.
Yeah, make sure you're following us on Twitter, @LoadedBox. Find the tweet with the details of the contest. retweet that tweet, and then tag a friend and get entered to win. You can also comment on go on to iTunes and comment on one of our podcasts. Drop us a comment and get an extra entry into that contest. So that actually drawing is on Sunday. So it's been about a month since we started this. Now it's actually coming up on Sunday. It'll be kind of fun because we have a live draft Ben and I do back in our hometown in Middletown, Wisconsin. We'll be real drunk. I want you to pay attention to how me and Ben get drunker throughout the night. Back to Pristine Auction. We teamed up with Pristine Auction for this giveaway, so make sure you're following them as well. They'll have daily auctions packed with tons of stuff for the man cave. You can see Nate has some stuff in his man cave. I don't have my man cave stuff showing right now because I'm watching football and I'd have to be sitting away from the TV. So, and it's affordable. Most people don't think they can afford it, but it's much more affordable than you think. I can afford it. I'm dirt poor. I'm dirt cheap, all that good stuff. And it's quick and free to register, free to bid. You only pay when you win. And make sure you mention the Loaded Box Podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section when you register. Head over to pristineauction.com. You spell that PRISTINE, pristineauction.com.
Nice, DJ. It's called Leave a Review. You would really
What did I
struggle.
say?
It's like comment on one of our episodes.
Oh yeah, leave a review. Subscribe, rate, and review. Should have just said that.
Well, I just entered as you were doing that entire spiel, so I'm
Thank you.
good. I entered, and I do have, Pristine Auction's awesome. I have a Dak Prescott signed picture. I've got a signed pick from Todd Gurley, Mike Evans, and a huge 16 by 20 of Corey Davis. So I'm hoping he pans out in the league.
I'm a big Corey Davis believer this year.
My latest, nothing's going to top this. I've got a signed DeAndre Hopkins jersey.
Ooh.
I used it with my birthday money. $66, man, for a DeAndre Hopkins sign. Best in the league, in my opinion. So, Pristine Auction's awesome.
I love DeAndre. I'm glad you got a deal on it, but man, it's got nothing on my Everson Griffin mini helmet you can see on YouTube right now.
His mini helmet.
I got a Byron Jones mini helmet, but I met him in person at the National Fantasy Football Convention this July. So
nice.
I'm gonna get my big actual helmet signed by Aaron Rodgers and just shove it down both of your throats.
I know you got to go with the obscure one.
Do that. Go ahead.
We got Byron Jones and Everson Griffin.
I don't think he can say no.
No, exactly.
All right, DJ, number six. What are you doing here?
My number 6, and I don't know if you guys are going to want to Google this, but my number 6 is Victoria June. Now, she's a porn star, Ben. So,
what's the last
if you go to
name?
images, you'll be fine. Just don't click on it. Victoria June.
Okay.
Big old bouncy tight end. I
Big
don't want to
lips.
say too much. You guys can see her work if you want to. You do Google her name. Her work will be all over the place.
I saw about
Victoria
8 more
June.
inches than I wanted to when I Googled her
Yeah,
name.
yeah, really a special, just really special tight end in the game. Honestly, she's a real up and comer.
Nice up and comer. That's a
Like that one.
And with that, we got a new person there as an up and comer. I've got an old dog as my number 5 tight end. It's Greg Olsen. He's going as the 2nd pick in the 6th round. That's tight end 5. I think that's properly ranked. I think he should live up to his ADP. It's just not for me because I don't like drafting a tight end quite that early. I think he's actually going to still see a good amount of targets this year. They're going to get DJ more acclimated. He's not going to see a ton of targets. What are you laughing at?
I like how it was like DJ Moore acclimated. Like you're talking about me, but his name's actually DJ Moore. It's like it sounded like you could have been talking about me. Like you're going to get DJ more acclimated, or his name is DJ Moore. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Such a play on words.
I thought it was pretty clever, and you didn't realize you did it.
Nope, didn't do that on purpose. No. You looked back at last year. Greg Olsen only played in 7 games last year, but he's played in all 16 games every year besides his rookie year. So that's 9 straight full seasons before last year.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a remarkable stat. I mean, we just talked about Tyler Eifert and Jordan Reed on the field for 50% of their games, and this guy's not missing games for like damn near a decade. I think he's good to target since he's never really been super touchdown dependent either. His career high since he's been in Carolina is only 7, but he had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons before last year. So I think he will live up to his ADP. It's just not for me in the 6th round. I'm going to try to target a guy like you got on your wall there, Corey Davis or Golden Tate, something like that, because I'm going to get my tight end a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm with you on Greg Olsen, though. He's my number 6, and, the reason he's not higher than that, which he was earlier, is because of the mouths to feed in this offense. And I wrote an article about why I'm against Christian McCaffrey this year. And Greg Olsen was a huge reason for that, because prior to last season, as you mentioned, he was injured. He had 113 targets every season since joining the Panthers in 2011 with Cam Newton. Prior to last season. So guess who had 113 targets last year? It was Christian McCaffrey. So Greg Olsen's going to be back. He's healthy. There's no way I see Christian McCaffrey get that type of volume. It's Greg Olsen as well, just because he's going to want to share that load. Like you said, DJ Moore, new rookie wide receiver that they drafted in the first round. So I think they're going to utilize him immediately in this offense. So, I just think, I mean, we're still talking about number 6, in my opinion, number 6 tight end. So for me, the way I feel about tight ends is once you get past the top 3 or 4, everyone else is kind of a crapshoot. So It's like, to be a tight end 1 isn't even a compliment.
No, it's not.
Like we're talking about number 12, 11, 10. It's like those guys you could not even roster and no one would even care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty difficult when you talk about those guys. But as you get closer to the top, you start to realize, all right, so maybe the guys with volume for the majority are the ones to grab if you want to get a tight end early.
Right.
So that's how I feel about Greg Olsen.
Yeah, tight end 1 should basically be like your top 5 tight ends. Like you said, after that, it's kind of just a crapshoot. So I think DJ and I have talked about that in the past. It's such a great point, though.
Yep.
Oh, Greg Olsen. I don't understand. You know what? I don't understand Greg Olsen at this age. He's got that Jason Witten smartness where they're slow as crap, but they find a way to get open just because they're savvy. And I don't get how it works, but it works. It works, and those guys keep doing it.
That's a great comparison, though, because he's a badass, and besides last season, he couldn't help it. He freaking broke his foot. So,
yeah, that's true.
That's what it took for him to get off the field. Otherwise, he doesn't miss football ever. Okay,
Nope.
2 games since he came to into the league, which was in 2007. He only missed 2 games prior to last season. So, I mean, he's as consistent as they come.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if UConn could get a defensive stop. Okay, I don't have much to say on Greg Olsen. I mean, he's going to be going way too high for my blood. 6th round is way too early for a tight end for me to touch him.
No.
So there's a lot more running backs and wide receivers I'm going to be looking at. So he's not even on my radar at all.
Number 5.
My fingers are on my keyboard, DJ. I'm just waiting.
Scarlett Johansson. Now I think you guys know who she is.
I do not know who that is.
What?
I'm terrible with names. I'm Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. Are you kidding
me? Oh, Scarlett.
She's Black Widow from the Avengers.
Yes, and I actually didn't really even have her on my radar until I was Googling and looking through and trying to fill this out. But I think it wasn't Black Avengers that she was on. I don't even know her from that movie. I know her from a couple other ones that I'm blanking on. But she looked real nice in that suit, that tight suit she was wearing. In one picture I Googled, and that thing, it surprised me. And when you have a skinny white girl, again, I'm going to say that, and it has a butt pop out like that, she's going to shoot up my rankings. So she shot way up because those curvatures were very nice.
All right, I'm seeing it a little bit now.
I love watching you guys Google and look at the pictures.
I'm seeing it a little bit now, but to be 100% honest with you, your number 12 is still blowing everyone away. It's unbelievable. She's way too low on your rankings. She's like a 3rd round pick for me.
Yeah, you got to adjust your rankings there, pal.
Sorry. White girl with a little bit of a boost always shoots up.
All in all, man, I think you're doing a fantastic job so far. Your rankings are better than mine so far. I'll give you that. All right, number 4, though. I know you like this guy, but I know you won't draft him. It's Jimmy Graham. He's going as the 3rd pick in the 5th round. I think this is likely the earliest that I would take a tight end on any of my potential teams. And I think the reason is that because I think he's going to eat up touchdowns. There's so many question marks on that team right now on offense outside of Devontae Adams. You don't know who the number 3 receiver is going to be. Randall Cobb is getting thrown out there as being traded or even potentially released come Saturday. So you don't know what's going to happen with that. Rumors. Well, it's still out there. Okay, when you float somebody out there for a trade rumor,
they didn't float that out there. Just somebody said that people had reached out to the Packers.
You don't even know it's true. What you could be saying right there is a lie. You don't even know.
I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. They already got rid of Jordy. They're not getting rid of Randall Cobb. Let's be real.
Well, they get rid of every one of his friends, it seems like. So, but honestly, like if you're floating a name out there in a trade, let's say there is a little bit of truth to it. If no one bites, what's usually after that is a release. So I'm not going to bank on him being a Green Bay Packer right now. But I think whoever they throw out there can get it done because it is Aaron Rodgers. But I think you have Davante Adams and Jimmy Graham who are going to be the every single week consistents. And I'm not a huge tight end fan for the 5th round, but with enough beers in me on one of my drafts, I might just experiment with Jimmy Graham in the 5th.
Ben, I'm with you, man. But I'll tell you right now, I don't like, I do usually like to wait a little bit longer, but if Jimmy Graham kind of falls on my lap, if I've got 2 solid running backs and 2 solid wide receivers already,
yep.
I'm going to look at what's available at those 2 positions. And if I'm not crazy about it, I'm going Jimmy Graham.
I like it.
I really am. Just because, and I'll be honest, I was not high on him at all last season, prior to last season. And I just felt like, Seattle just wasn't the type of offense for him. And I was kind of right, actually. He didn't get the volume.
Yeah.
He did not get the volume at all. I think he finished with just over 500 yards receiving or something, maybe something around that. And it was the touchdowns. He had double-digit touchdowns, and I lost a bet with one of my friends. I said he wasn't going to be a top 5. And obviously he goes and scores 10 touchdowns, and he's a top 5 option, right? So, but I wasn't that far off in my analysis when it comes to him. However, if that is what his specialty is now, and if this is what he's evolved to, and he's not going to be that 1,000-yard receiver, as he was with the Saints and Drew Brees, then I love that he's on the Packers right now because, to your point, Davante Adams is like the red zone guy. And Jordy Nelson, he was the red zone guy.
Sure.
He's not there anymore. So Aaron Rodgers, if Davante Adams is not open in the red zone, you better believe, even double covered, he's throwing it up to Jimmy Graham because he is a beast in the end zone. And as I mentioned before, when it comes to tight ends, touchdowns are king when it comes to tight ends. And he is my only one in the top 4 that I have where he's my number 4. He's the only one in the top 4 that he's TD reliant. I'm totally okay with that.
Cool with it, yeah.
Given that he's in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense.
Yep, we're on the same
Jimmy
page.
Jimmy Graham's going to get double digits. I mean, you can pretty much mark up, as long as he's healthy the whole year, he's going to book it. He's going to score at least 10 touchdowns this year. I mean, inside the red zone, if they, like you said, if Davante's not open or Cobb, if the initial read's not open and he's moving around, he's going to give Jimmy Graham a chance with the ball that's high, because nobody throws it more accurately than Rodgers. So he's going to give him a chance with a linebacker or just over somebody's head to make a play, and he'll make those plays. So he's still got that basketball athleticism. He's gonna be a favorite target of Rodgers inside the red zone, especially inside even the 10-yard line. Would probably even be a better spot for him, which they'll be in that area a ton.
Right. I don't like looking too much into preseason to see what it's going to be, but I was really high on Graham as soon as he did go to Green Bay because of Rodgers and just the ability for him, like you said, just to put the ball wherever. But in that preseason game against the Steelers where Rodgers kind of scrambled around, flipped one up, and all of a sudden, here's this big-ass red zone target in Jimmy Graham. I'm like, oh, my gosh, like that did it for me. That did it.
You know what's funny about that play? I think Rodgers, no matter what, knew he was going to throw it to Graham because he wanted to give him a shot. Because Davante came wide open in the right corner of the end zone immediately. But I think he was just so like, I'm going to give Jimmy Graham a chance here in preseason and get people excited.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. If you go back and watch Davante in that play, he beats his guy off the line on the first step, and he's wide open. Guys,
are you ready for a little bit of a hot take here? Davante Adams is my number 3 wide receiver this year.
That's damn near a cold take, Nate.
That's a cold take.
Really? Wow, I'm with family. I love it.
Where do
I get so much freaking crap for that. He's number 3, baby. I'm telling you. I think it's gonna go DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, and Davante Adams this year.
All right. The only reason I'm saying that it's a cold take is typically it'd be a hot take. DJ, why don't you go ahead and put that finger up?
It's number 1, baby.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Hey, I actually wrote an article with the Fantasy Footballers. I'll send you the link, bud, where I actually explain exactly how he can become the number 1 wide receiver in the league. So I'll send that over to you.
You two were made for each other.
Well, he's going to score like 17 touchdowns this year, so.
That's his number, so I love it.
Exactly. I'm serious. I expect him to. Okay. My number 4. Now, these top 4, I think, are unquestionably should be the top 4. Maybe you guys have some disagreements, but these top 4 are. There should be no 4 ahead of these. So my number 4, another older one, nice little throwback, J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, I don't even need to Google that one.
I mean, I don't even have to say much about her. I mean, she was just killing it on some award show the other night, shaking her butt all around. A-Rod was loving it. And she's just, I mean, that's an ass that transcends time. That's a great tight end. She's a throwback. You have to have her inside your top 5 for sure. J-Lo all day.
Okay, so DJ, if you know this, if you looked it up earlier, don't tell me. I want to get both of your guys' guesses as to how old you think Jennifer Lopez is.
Oh, I'm guessing 54?
Nate?
No way. She is 47.
She is 49.
Ooh,
wow.
She is 49,
okay.
But man, if that ass is real, man, DJ, you're onto something there. I actually wouldn't have been mad with her being number 1 just because of her history. She's the consistent tight end. Like, she gets it done year in and year out. And she's just...
My number 1 has been number 1 for my entire life, so we'll get there.
Oh, I'm pumped. Let me get to my tight end rankings then so we can get back to that.
So Ben, honestly, do we have to talk about these top 3 guys? To be honest, like, you can just shuffle them up however you want. I think they're everybody's top 3, whether it be it's Gronk, Ertz, Kelsey, whatever order you want to put them in. You can't blame anybody. I mean, that's what it is. It's those guys, and then it's the other guys.
I agree. Can I say one thing about Ertz, because I know that he was your number 1.
Yes, he is.
So earlier in the year, or throughout this offseason, I've been putting together articles on our website, which you can find, loadedboxpodcast.com. I've been doing like a player to target and a player to avoid from each team, and I've been going division by division. And when I wrote the one for the NFC East, when you get to the Eagles, based on ADP, if you kind of take out Alshon Jeffrey, it's kind of hard to find somebody that you don't want based on their ADP. But I wrote this. I'm going to read something I wrote about Ertz real quick.
Sure.
Ertz is a really good tight end. He can be productive in fantasy football when given targets. But up until last season, he's been a fairly disappointing fantasy performer. Ertz topped 800 yards receiving and hauled in 8 touchdowns last year. Doesn't possess a single season with more than 4 touchdowns outside of last year over the course of a 5-year career. So when you talk about a guy having like one good year and then maybe holding on to it, that's what I'm a little bit scared about with a guy like Zach Ertz. He is my number 3 guy. I understand if people are taking him, but what scares me is you got Carson Wentz, who, is he back? Is he 100% back? Like, when he is back, is he going to be healthy? Was last year just kind of like a one-hit wonder for Ertz? Is he going to be the consistent guy with Alshon maybe out for a little while? Like, maybe he will get a ton of volume? I don't know. There's just a little bit too much there for me in terms of question marks to warrant a 4th-round pick for him.
Well, it's funny when you say take out Alshon Jeffrey, because you don't have to do that now because the Eagles have done that. And he's out for at least 2 weeks, okay? So there's one up right there for Ertz that actually has helped me in my rankings. He's 27 years old. He's been a top 10 option at the position since 2015. He's climbed the ranks every season. 2015, he was a tight end 9. 2016, tight end 6. Last year, 2017, he was a tight end 3. Okay, overall, and that was without Carson Wentz at the end. So it really didn't matter. Nick Foles is in. He's thrown to Ertz, and if Alshon Jeffrey's not playing the first couple weeks, you better believe they're targeting Ertz. He's going to be the number 1 targeted guy while Alshon's out. I also like Nelson Aguilar, but we're not talking about wide receivers here. But that is the reason I have him number 1 is not so much because I think he's better than Gronk. I just think that Gronk, his injury concerns, are enough to put him in number 2. And that's honestly what it comes down to for me with Rob Gronkowski. I just don't expect him to play a full season. Every year he plays, he takes these freaking massive hits, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable to see. And you can tell he is hurting. Halfway through the season, he's playing hurt. Okay?
Right.
So every year that goes by, obviously he's a year older, and that just worries me. But not enough to drop him dramatically. He's just my number 2. And
I gotcha.
That's fine.
One crazy thing about Gronk too, as well, since we're going to just clump these guys kind of together here, since they're everyone's top 3. One crazy thing about Gronk, we talk about injuries and tight ends, and Gronk obviously going as the first tight end right now, 10th pick in the 2nd round. The guy hasn't played a full 16 games since 2011. That is just insane to me, but people still pick him super high. But he
You want to
is.
know why, though? Let me tell you why. Because he's been the number one tight end 3 of the last 4 seasons. So he doesn't even need a full
Doesn't even
season
need
to be the best tight end, okay? The guy's a monster. It's just, that is honestly the reason why. But for another reason, if you don't want to talk about an injury, he's going to see heavier coverage,
Right.
which is kind of impossible for him. But I think he's going to see even heavier coverage because there's not going to be a Julian Edelman for the first 4. And then they have Chris Hogan, and then who else? Philip freaking Dorsett. I mean, they're going to be hurting in that pass game. So
for sure.
For me, Gronk is moving down, man. He's moving down just a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy too. I was going to say about Gronk, but now I forgot what I was going to say. So
sorry, man.
No. What I was going to say was the one thing about Gronk, why I can understand why people do draft him that high, is because I don't know if there's another player in fantasy football that gives you a positional edge the way that Rob Gronkowski does. Like when he's hot, go back and look through Gronk's career. Like his first 3 or 4 years in the league, you'll look at his numbers and say, that's a team's number 1 wide receiver. And you'd have no reason not to believe it. 17 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. It's stupid numbers. Like it's unbelievable. So
yeah, I'm with you right there. But you want to know something though? In fantasy football, that's great that he finished the year as the number 1 tight end. However, if he's out during the playoffs because he can't finish the season, he's no good to you.
Doesn't do you any
0
good.
Points those weeks.
Nope.
That was the one point I was going to make.
Yeah,
now I'm done.
Then you need DJ's strategy.
Sorry, but hey, you know what? I really want to hear your top 3 tight ends, DJ. So I know you got some fire coming. So what do you
let's do this.
I really also want UConn to stop hating me. We've got number 3. Are you ready for number 3? I obviously Nate is. Ben, are you ready?
Fingers on keyboard.
All right, so I hate this person just in general because I hate that they exist in my life, but you can't deny the ass. I'm going Kim Kardashian. You're at number 3.
Don't even need to Google her.
You don't. Again, another one you don't need to Google. It's
she doesn't know who she is.
Yeah. Finally, know one.
Yeah, you know who she is, but I mean, you've seen her in porn movies. You've seen her all over your TV.
I have not.
Well, I mean, some people have. I don't know. She got cum on her back. So that's my number 3.
Nice. All right,
let's moving on. Ready for number 2?
Let's break it to number 2.
Number 2. Here we go.
I put Nicki Minaj. I think she's undisputed up there. She kind of like you can literally set like a glass of water on her butt, and it'll just sit there on its own. Like it's incredible how. I saw a picture of her sitting down. I don't know if you saw it. It went pretty viral on Twitter. And it looks like her butt is just like its own part of it. It's like it's off her body. It just comes so far out. It's wild. It looked like an actual table. So I had to put Nicki Minaj at 2. Just because, I'm a big butt guy. What do you guys think about Nicki Minaj there?
I mean, I cannot blame you. I am in full agreement, and I have no further analysis.
Yeah, I think you knocked that one out of the park. I mean, that's fine. I can't argue it. I just, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of her. I'm not a huge fan of Kim K, but the ass don't lie.
Yeah.
The ass don't lie.
Yeah, ass don't lie. Tight ends, baby. So my number 1, and for me, it's like, you might dispute it, but it's undisputable in my mind.
Here we go.
Ava Mendez. Now, if you don't know who Ava Mendez, she's like in Hitch. She's in,
I'm Googling
I think it's Other Guys. She's in.
She's in a lot of things.
Wife. Yeah, that thing is
It's going to be my dreams tonight.
literally so perfectly symmetrical and
It
so
is.
round. It's like not huge. It's not small. It's like right in that perfect area. And when
Truly
she
is.
walks, it moves, and you can't take your eyes off of it. And my wife knows she's my number 1, so it's okay that I'm saying this. She won't beat me up too bad because I'm sure she's listening to me upstairs right now. But it's just not a butt that gets better. There's not a single butt out there that gets better than, and she's probably mid-40s too.
You're gonna go upstairs and your wife is gonna have a top 12 list of dudes' abs or pecs or something, and she's gonna make you listen to all of her analysis.
It'll probably be like Usher and then Matthew McConaughey.
And me.
Yeah, you. How does Ava Mendez look to you there, Nate?
Ava Mendez is 44 years
44.
old.
Yeah.
44.
Incredible.
And,
She's still a smoke.
Yeah, no, between her and J-Lo, they just don't age. I don't understand what's going on there. I think they're vampires. They're not real humans.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what's going on.
My only question so far, DJ, is out of 12 girls, like, So a big thing with the ass is the way that the girls move it, and there's not too many better ass shakers than a girl like Rihanna or Beyonce. How come they didn't make your top 12?
I just really hate Beyonce personally.
Yeah, me too.
And I was looking at Rihanna's, and it's not at that level anymore.
But
that
she
once
moves it
was.
well.
I can't put her up there. Yeah, it's not there. If you just trust me on this one.
All
I
right.
looked at them.
All right, but is Beyonce just a personal thing? Like you just don't like
Yeah,
her?
I don't like Beyonce at all.
Wow, Nate, do you think he missed anyone, or what are your feelings on these rankings?
I mean, they're nice asses. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. They're nice asses.
Good
But
ass.
what about Donkey from Shrek? I mean, that's a pretty nice ass. You know, I mean,
Confession:
I've
I've
been told I
never
look like him.
never seen Shrek.
Neither have I, but I've been told I look like him. God dang it! 42 I'm screwed.
Nothing like losing your first college
pretty
bet of
bad
the
against
year.
those guys.
Yeah, that was
All
dumb.
right, we should probably wrap this puppy out so we can get it out. Big thanks to Nate for joining us. Nate, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find your work?
Sure, absolutely. Obviously, I'm a writer for the Fantasy Footballers. You know, you can go out and go on Amazon and purchase the Fantasy Football Black Book by Joe Pisapia. And that's like $12, man, and it's gonna really help you with this season. There's a lot of great analysis in there, and follow me on Twitter, man. I'm on there obsessively every day, all day. I swear to God, I get back to everybody. It's ridiculous. At DominateFF. So go ahead and follow me on there.
And that is a sick name. Like if I could rank like people's fantasy football's handles, you would be a top 5. Like if we
Well,
ever
thank you.
do that.
And it's I love that it's part of my name. You know, I mean,
It's
anything that
legit.
has my name in it, I'm all about it.
That's why I like it. All right,
Jeez,
awesome.
conceited much?
Oh no, just a little, you know, I love my name. What are you gonna do?
Whatever, dude. Just make UConn win this game. Or I mean, cover the spread. Sorry.
All right, let's just detonate this episode.
Yeah, it's not good.
Right? All right. So as Nate just said, follow him on Twitter. Me and DJ are going to make sure we do that right after this episode.
Yes.
Follow us on Twitter. Tweet any questions you'd like answered at Loaded Box. Check out our website for our latest blogs, podcasts, fantasy rankings. That's loadedboxpodcast.com. Next episode, DJ, we're excited for this one because it's going to be a rare in-person episode. We're celebrating Fantasy Football Draft Weekend. We're doing our 2018 NFL season predictions episode. We should be fairly several beers deep. It's going to be awesome. Remember to get qualified for this beauty, the OBJ mini helmet. How DJ told you about it. We're doing the drawing Sunday, September 2nd. We're available on iTunes. Search Loaded Box, subscribe, rate, and review. And why don't you go ahead and send us out?
Bye.